Good evening. My name is Nalleli Cobo. You heard some of my story in the video tonight. How oil companies polluted my community to the point where I got sick, and how Stand Delay, the organization I'm a part of, is fighting back. When you're going up against big oil, you need resources, which means you need people that stand behind you and believe a group of neighbors in South LA will win against a powerful industry. For us, that community of people is Liberty Hill. As part of Liberty Hill's 2018 Leaders to Watch program, I was selected along with two other incredible activists to receive stipends, organizing training, and opportunities to elevate our campaigns. Now, I would like to introduce my fellow 2018 Leaders to Watch, Tanisha Denard and Cynthia Macias.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Tanisha Denard. I'm a youth organizer with the Youth Justice Coalition and also a college student. To give you a little background on how I got here, when I was in high school, sometimes I would be late to school because the bus stops in the morning were always crowded because all the students were taking the same way. So buses were full, they would pass you up. Sometimes I had to take my sister to school, or just early morning duties that would sometimes cause me to be late. At that time in school, going late to school meant that you would get a $250 ticket for being late to school. I had gathered about 10 tickets over a couple semesters for $250 tickets for basically being late to school. My mom wasn't informed of the policies for being late to school, and I knew she wouldn't believe that I was gonna get a $250 ticket for being late to school, so I never showed them to her, also knowing that she couldn't afford them. Me not knowing the process, the court process, not being informed on what to do with the tickets turned into warrants basically for failure to appear in court. And one day I was arrested from class and I spent the month in juvenile hall. Going to jail for basically being late to school gave me a different view on life because it was easy for me to see now, like how you could easily be criminalized and even taken to jail from school for some of the smallest things. They called it failure to appear in court, but to me it was still for late to being to school. During my release process, I was introduced to the Youth Justice Coalition by a public defender, where I was originally just going to get my high school diploma, but once I got there, I found out that they had an organizing aspect that was working on a directive to end giving truancy tickets on campus, which are tickets for being late to school. So I got involved with that directive, and we eventually passed that directive with public counsel and other organizations. And that directive prevented school police from giving tickets on school campus or within a close radius of the school, because sometimes you would literally be getting out of your mom's car or getting off the bus across the street from the school, and you're clearly going to school, but you would still get a ticket for basically being late to school. My current activism includes working with the Youth Justice Coalition and Liberty Hill to reform our probation and bail system and change the success for young people, as I'm going to school to be a probation officer. I'm going to school to be a probation officer because when I was in juvenile hall, I met a PO that was, she was real nice to me. She didn't criminalize us. She treated us like we were her own kids. She created space for us to talk to each other, just have conversation, because that was the only time you would have a sense of humanity and hope when you're inside. She gave us soap and Q-tips, which we don't get when you're inside of juvenile hall or any jail. So that really inspired me to go back inside the juvenile halls and empower other young women and let them know that's not their last resort. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Cynthia Macias. I'm a mother of 4 children. My children's ages are 2 through 13. I'm a part of the Long Beach Tenants Union, as well as sit on the board of directors for Housing Long Beach. Thank you. Now let me tell you guys a little bit on how I got involved in my cause. So after being a survivor of domestic violence, I needed to find a home for my children and I. After finding a home, we moved in. Shortly after, my kids started getting a horrible rash all over their body, little bumps everywhere. I took them to the doctor. The doctor let me know that it was bed bugs. What are those? I did not know what it was. Immediately, I told my landlord that I needed to get my carpet lifted. She refused to do so. I tried to pursue the situation until one day I realized I looked at my son, which was an infant, and he had a bed bug crawling in his ear. Immediately, I removed my children from my home, which was the hardest thing for me to do. They lived with my parents for 3 months. After that, my landlord then decided, okay, I'll change your carpet. When she changed my carpet, it was not 1 or 2. It was 5 carpets stacked on top of each other, kind of like a lasagna, same exact way. Now, underneath that 5th one, there was chicken bones. How old? I do not know. There was maggots. There was black dots all through the baseboards that I thought was black mold, but no, it was bed bugs. Immediately, my landlord hit me with the rent increase because she changed my carpet. Okay. Next, my manager comes and tells me, I'm sorry, Cynthia, you and your children are gonna have to find a new home. Why? Well, because unfortunately, the landlord doesn't want African-American tenants here. Now, I understand I do not look African-American, and you guys are correct. But my partner is, and my 4 children are. Therefore, my household is an African-American household. And I just couldn't believe that this is 2016 and I am dealing with racism. So at this point, I became discouraged, depressed. I did not know where me and my children were gonna end up when a friend of mine referred me to Housing Long Beach. And I took her on that offer, and just my luck, they had a legal clinic that night. I took my landlord to court, and after a very long and stressful process, I won. Now, to some, you may think that is my greatest accomplishment, but it wasn't. My greatest accomplishment here was regaining my voice and my power back. And with organizations like Liberty Hill and Housing Long Beach, I was able to go back into my community and get more power from my neighbors. And now we fight because Long Beach has no rent control or eviction protections, and anyone can be displaced from their home at any time. I'm so sorry. I just don't want my children to suffer through this ever again, or let alone anyone else's child. How are they gonna thrive in this world when they don't even know where they're gonna sleep at? Sorry. Thank you. Sorry about that.
You got it, you got it, you almost did.
So that is why I'm fighting for rent control.